Global wealth inequality is staggering. According to a Credit Suisse report released in 2022, 47.8% of the global household wealth is in the hands of just 1.2% of the world's population, who control a whopping $221.7 trillion. Below them, the next 38.1% of the global wealth is in the hands of the next wealthiest 11.8%, who control $176.5 trillion. In total, this means that 86% of the total global wealth is in the hands of just 13% of the total population. And so at the bottom, the picture is not so rosy. In fact, 2.8 billion people, which is roughly half of the world's population, share a measly 1.1% of the total global wealth, each of them having a net worth of less than $10,000 and oftentimes much less. To put this wealth gap into further perspective, note that the top 81 billionaires control more wealth than the bottom half of all humanity. That's right, 81 people control more wealth than 4 billion people. That's like a professional football team owning more wealth than China and India combined, plus another India. And in the US, the picture is not so different. In fact, our top 3 billionaires as of 2023, who are Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Larry Ellison, control more wealth than the bottom 50%, who collectively control just 1% of the nation's wealth. Meanwhile, the top 1% of the nation's socioeconomic demographic controls roughly 30 to 35% of the total nation's wealth. And as asset prices continue to appreciate, the wealth gap in America continues to widen. Which is another reason that I'm extremely adamant that we need a massive asset price revaluation in this country, not only because it would help the middle class substantially, but also because it'd be very healthy for the economy as a whole. But that's a topic for another video. Anyway, how did this staggering wealth inequality come about, and where is it headed? But more importantly, what are the strategies that the wealthy in general have used to get ahead of the rest of the pack? And are there some strategies that we can apply to our own lives so that we can increase our chances of becoming at least moderately wealthy? So let's answer all those questions now, but before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate your support. It really goes a long way in helping me grow and build what I want to build here. So again, thank you, and let's jump in. All right, since the topic of wealth inequality is both complicated and controversial, I want to make one opening claim before moving forward. And that is that I believe wealth inequality is both natural and important for a society to function properly. After all, without rich people, there would be no one to invest in large projects, to build cost-intensive companies, or to purchase first-generation consumer products that have not been made widely available for the rest of the middle class yet. Basically, what I'm saying is, without rich people, we probably wouldn't have cell phones, cars, computers, airplanes, and all these other things that we take for granted today. Plus, there's a ton of companies and industries that never would have materialized if the financial incentive to build them was never there in the first place. And as it happens, the rich are often the visionaries that push society forward by starting companies that are oftentimes very risky at first. So to be very clear, I believe that the rich deserve their wealth, but only up until the point where it's healthy for society as a whole. And at the point where the wealth disparity becomes a major socioeconomic problem, market forces should be allowed to rebalance the equation through falling asset prices, for example. And the government should not be continuously intervening to prevent this wealth redistribution from occurring by continuously creating programs that bail out the rich at the expense of the poor. For example, look at this chart from Fred, which is the share of total net worth held by the top 1%. Interestingly, you can see that economic equality actually increases during periods of recession, while the subsequent boom leads to the rich getting richer. And as you know, if you've been alive on this earth for the past 20 years, the previous 3 recessions, which were in 2001, 2008, and 2020, were all followed by massive fiscal and monetary stimulus programs. These programs reinflated asset bubbles to astronomical heights and exacerbated the wealth inequality issues we face today. And this Fred data even demonstrates this fact implicitly by the falling share of wealth held by the bottom 50%. With a lower class median income around $50,000, I'd wager that about half the country is living paycheck to paycheck and are feeling that the American dream is sadly out of reach. And this, my friends, is not a good thing for social cohesion and stability. In fact, a recent report by CNBC stated that 61% of Americans say they are living paycheck to paycheck even as inflation cools. So what I infer from these two graphs is that bad government policy has increased the wealth gap between the richest in society and the poorest, and honestly, probably on purpose. And maybe I'm blackpilled about this, but I really do believe that since the 60s, and specifically since the assassination of JFK, the US has been infiltrated by a deep state organization that has successfully and intentionally destroyed America and increased the wealth inequality in the country. And of course, I'll go in more detail about my thoughts on this in another video, but if you have different opinions or perspectives, don't forget to share your comments down below. So anyway, hopefully by this point you understand the big picture. The gist is basically that 1% own 50% of the wealth and 50% of the people own 1% of the wealth, And this is the case both in the US and globally. But the question of this video remains, how do we increase our chances of climbing the socioeconomic hierarchy? And these 3 suggestions aren't meant to push you into the millionaire or billionaire status. It's more to give you a perspective on what wealthy people tend to do versus not wealthy people. So with that being said, point number 1 is that rich people get married, and yes, I went there. In fact, data from the US Census Bureau shows that the median net worth of married individuals among all age groups vastly exceeds the median collective net worth of single males and females. This makes sense for several reasons, including the fact that rich people share their expenses and have a lot of tax benefits, but also that they can share their collective knowledge and skills together and increase their economic efficiency as a household. This advantage is especially true if children are involved. In fact, as of 2017, the average family in the US had about 1.9 children. And multiply 1.9 by the average cost of a child until their 18th birthday, which in today's dollars is probably around $300,000, and you get roughly a total cost of $600,000 to have a family. Just mathematically speaking, it's easier to handle that kind of expense with 2 people rather than 1. Point number 2, wealthy people are self-made. As difficult as it may be to accept for some people, the truth is that most millionaires in America did not inherit their wealth. In fact, 70% of wealthy families in the US lost their wealth by the 2nd generation, and a stunning 90% lost it by the 3rd. Additionally, according to Yahoo Finance, 79% of millionaires are self-made, again meaning that their wealth was not inherited. Instead, they received their wealth through hard work and smart financial decisions. So, how do they do it? Simple. Nearly 80% of millionaires in the US are self-employed, meaning that they build a company around a product or service and then leverage superior knowledge, infrastructure, technology, machines, and other people to get rich. And point number 3, wealthy people own assets and avoid taxes. In addition to being married and self-employed, wealthy people are also very financially educated. They avoid bad debts like car payments and credit cards and seek out good debts like real estate because they understand how to legally utilize the tax code to minimize their tax income and grow their assets. And check out this video right here for more information on how the rich do this. But in a nutshell, they're able to leverage business expense write-offs, real estate depreciation, and other clever tax strategies to basically lower their taxes to 0 in a lot of cases. And of course, by not shelling out a huge percentage of their income to the government every year, wealthy people are able to compound their wealth much more quickly than a middle-class W-2 worker at a 30 or 40% tax bracket. It's just math. So to conclude the video, what we can do to get rich is to get married if you want, acquire skills and build a value-adding business, and use your earned income to purchase assets that generate passive income and also help you lower your tax bill. It's a tried and true formula the rich have used for basically forever. And if you're looking for further guidance, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for stock market analysis, more videos like this, and all kinds of other stuff. Also check down below for access to my Discord, plus a lot of different financial calculators, including real estate calculators and a free budgeting calculator for anyone to download. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you on the next one.